Hello and welcome to another episode of the Tipped Balls Podcast. I am your host, Sam Randazzo, and I am joined today by my two testy co-hosts. To my right, it is the one and only Uncle Sam.
Hello.
And behind the computer, just absolutely
Fucking
being a menace, it is Bruce, the Tugboat Venditti.
What's up?
So we had a wild Monday night game last night where the LA Chargers...
Thursday night. You said Monday, Thursday night game.
We had a wild Thursday night game last night where the LA Chargers went to Kansas City into Arrowhead and lost to the Chiefs. And if you saw the first half of that game, I'll tell you this much. You did not expect the outcome that ultimately resulted. It was really a tale of two halves where the Chargers, their defense looked like an all-pro team in the first half. Their offense couldn't be stopped. The Chiefs didn't really have any answers. Patrick Mahomes looked, for the first time in recent memory, kind of out of sorts. His cuteness ran out. He was running around, but it wasn't really working.
It wasn't effective at all.
It was not effective.
It's because they couldn't get it downfield. That's why.
Patrick Mahomes finally looked human in the first half, right?
They couldn't get the ball downfield.
Which, if you break down that Chargers defense, I mean, you've got guys all over the field that are top of their position guys. So it made sense, right? We're watching it and we're like, oh, wow, this Chargers defense is the real deal. And then somehow, I don't know if Andy Reid cast a spell, sold his soul to the devil at the half.
I'll tell you where it came down to. At the end of the second quarter, with about 4 minutes to go, I truly think the Chargers could have put it away then, and they were unable to get touchdowns when they should have.
I agree with that.
And that hurt them. And then coming into the third quarter, they really didn't do much. And then Kansas City, once they got that first touchdown, they were back in it.
Yeah.
And that's when the whole tide changed. About midway through the third quarter.
Andy Reid and Steve Spagnuolo at the half, just, I don't know if they threw their entire game plan away and went back to the drawing board. I don't know what happened, but they coached this team out of the hole and into a win yesterday. And, I mean, you got to give them all the props in the world because I don't know how you adjust that well against the Chargers.
Yeah.
Because personally to me, and I've said this before on the show, the Chargers have the most well-rounded, best roster in football. They have stars all over the board, right? On paper, they are the best team in football. The Bills give them a run for their money.
Yeah.
But their DBs alone. Their DBs alone.
Secondary is nice.
Most teams would sell their soul just to have their DBs. And then when you go up front, you have Khalil Mack on one side, and you got Joey Bosa on the other. Like, it's all over. And somehow, the Chiefs stayed in it, even though they were getting decimated in the first half. Mahomes did not have that great of a game statistically. He really didn't. It was 230-ish yards. Like, it was not a typical Mahomes performance, and it was ugly.
No, it wasn't what he did the week prior.
No, it was ugly, but they did what they had to do to win. And I'll say this much, as far as coaching goes, Staley coached them out of that game a little bit. He was way too aggressive at times and way too conservative at times.
He was too conservative at the times when they should have been really going for it toward the end of
I agree with that.
He kind of went into a shell
and that seems to be
that's shit.
That's a recurring theme, it seems like, against NFL coaches right now. You're going to be super aggressive to get that lead, right? And then you regress into a shell to protect that lead.
Correct. They go into this prevent.
If you think you're going to play conservative against Andy Reid and the Chiefs and everything that team has to offer, then I got news for you. It doesn't matter if you're up by 4 touchdowns.
They're up by 10 at the half, correct?
Right, correct.
They were up by 10 at the half. They should have been up by a lot more than that.
Right. I
think that destroyed them. It destroyed their momentum coming out for the next half. It really did.
And I get it. You want to set the tone and give his exact words were he wanted to give his defense all the chances in the world, which with that defense you do. So you go for it on fourth down, you give up field position, you risk it. But it was like he was doing it at all the wrong times, and it just didn't make sense.
Yeah, it was kind of, he was all over
You
the
know,
place.
and another thing that I noticed, they didn't manage their second half timeouts well at all. You know, you're going 3 minutes, it's a 1-score game, 3 minutes left, and you only have one timeout left. You know, they could have given themselves a chance at the end there, but they didn't handle it well. On top of that, Herbert did a great job of spreading the ball around. He got Gerald Everett very involved in the game. He got Josh Palmer.
He was actually the only guy in the second half that really stood out.
Yeah.
And getting hurt and then coming back and throwing even better than he was.
Right. I mean, the guy had bruised ribs there at the end. It was all going wrong for them. But they definitely missed having Keenan Allen.
Which, shout out to Mike Dana, because he was actually the one who tackled Justin Herbert for him to land on his hand and mess him up for the rest of the game.
Well, Justin Herbert has bruised ribs. But
Oh, that's not what it was?
He'll
All I
be
see is this
back.
video of his hand coming down. That's the only thing I see.
well,
Online, at least.
either way, Herbert was playing with bruised ribs at the end of that game. But that offense definitely missed out on Keenan Allen. My thoughts on this Chargers team was that Austin Eckler was going to be the heartbeat of the offense. And through the first 2 weeks, he hasn't been. Last week, Keenan Allen was the heartbeat of this offense.
They started to use him more in the second half when they were trying to be in comeback mode.
Correct.
And that's the only time they really utilized him the way they should have.
I think he's been misutilized so far.
Yeah.
And I'll say this much: you can't take all credit off of his back because he has not been running that well. And I don't know if that's
listen. He's not Christian McCaffrey. He's not a guy who's going to take the ball and go 90.
well.
He's not going to do that.
That's after
not him.
The impression that was left in everyone's head last year was that's what this was.
He never really did that. He's just a stat monster.
And I'm starting to think now if it's not necessarily his fault,
No.
as much as it is the reason why Herbert was injured at the end of that game.
Play calling was atrocious yesterday.
Well,
man.
that
Come on.
and I mean, Herbert got hit 8 times.
Yeah, but he didn't even get touched in the first half.
He didn't. It was all in the second.
It was
Their
all third
offensive
quarter,
line.
end of third quarter,
buckled.
beginning of fourth quarter.
Their offensive line finally buckled in the second half.
Yeah.
And I think
they had a couple of injuries and they had to replace a couple of guys.
yeah, they
on that
lost.
line.
They lost 2 starting
And as
offensive
soon-
linemen
and
in the
as-
second half.
As soon as they did, they were in trouble.
It was over with. So the Chargers
And
now.
the same thing with Kansas City. Their offensive line didn't play good either.
No.
To be honest with you.
And here's the other thing. We've talked a lot about this AFC West division and how tough it was going to be and how badly these teams were going to beat up on each other. Last night was the perfect representation of all of that.
Yeah.
Every single time 2 of these in-division teams in the AFC West play each other, there's going to be injuries, there's going to be scraps, there's going to be one team who leaves fucking decimated, and you're going to look at them and you're like, oh, okay, they just came back down to earth hard. And you're going to look at the other side, and you're going to be like, oh, this was a David and Goliath matchup. Now, everybody's sitting there saying how Mahomes is going to be the greatest quarterback of all time after last night's win. And you got to keep this in perspective. The Chargers are still a really, really good team, and the Chiefs are still a really, really good team.
Chiefs are in first place.
The Chiefs are in first place, and these 2 teams will play each other one more time this year, and you still have no idea what the result's going to be.
No, it's still a toss-up. I mean, I think it's going to be between one of those 2 teams.
Yeah.
I don't think the Raiders are good enough to stay in with them guys, and I don't believe that Denver is going to be able to contend with them.
Unless they somehow come out this week and just.
We're going to talk a lot more about Denver later on because I have some thoughts and issues with them.
Not Jackson Mahomes. Fuck.
fucking
Just
Jackson
a
Mahomes,
shit
fucking
show. I was just
loser.
talking to the kid at the gym about Jackson Mahomes. But Herbert, I truly do believe, has a higher ceiling than Mahomes. Mahomes is cute, but I believe, for some reason, deep down inside me, that Herbert has the potential to be better than Mahomes.
I'm finally willing to admit this on the show, and I'm going to tell you why you're wrong. Patrick Mahomes is the most talented quarterback in football. He is. He absolutely is. And it's not just down to the way he throws. It's not just down to his accuracy. It's not just down to how hard he can throw the ball. It is down to he's like and I know you're going to say it's just cuteness, but it works now. And people are having a harder time picking up on it because he's getting better at it. He is like he bends and makes throws, and he's
the point guard playing quarterback.
Yes, but I'll tell you what, if he is the equivalent of a point guard, he is Steph Curry because he's not missing anymore. Back in the day when he got too cute and he'd get a little frazzled, it would all start to fall apart.
Last year was the best year he had in his career.
Yes.
Last year.
And I think
what happened to him, he got cute in the playoffs and he started missing guys. And he was bad. He was bad.
I don't think we're going to see that.
He was bad against Cincinnati.
I think.
And you know what? It can happen to anybody at any time.
If the Chiefs
look at Russell Wilson, he was a shell of himself there. In that last
I didn't know how
Monday
much
night.
he was a shell of himself.
that the defense in Seattle hated Russell Wilson.
Well,
I didn't know about that. I just learned about that the other day.
Listen to me. The Legion of Boom has been gone for 5 years, dude.
And they all hated Russell Wilson for some reason.
Guess what? Who really gives a shit? He brought him a Super Bowl.
yeah.
He should have brought him 2 Super
Exactly.
Bowls, but we're not going to go there.
Pete Carroll.
Because of the scumbag. He's an idiot.
I'll say this
Like
much.
somebody else I know.
I'll say this much about the Chiefs before we move on. And this kind of got overlooked, right? The Chiefs, outside of Travis Kelce, which we all know what he is, they don't have a superstar on that offense. It's Travis Kelce, Patrick Mahomes, and then
Right.
what they have
Then
done.
there's everybody else.
And this makes the Tyreek Hill trade makes a little bit more sense now. They got rid of Tyreek Hill, and they have guys like Valdez-Scantling, Watson, Hardman, Schuster, Edwards-Helaire, this new Isaac Pacheco or whatever the fuck.
Pacheco is going to be a fucking stud in this league. In fact, you know what? I'm gonna make this right now. It's my bold prediction. He will take Edward his job. He will take Hilaire's job.
It's
So-
easy to
by the
say
fucking
that.
end of the year.
It's easy
Watch.
to say that.
Watch, he's a monster in between.
Do you want to know why I think?
Go
I
ahead.
think you're wrong.
I don't think so.
Because through the last 2 games, if I saw anything out of anybody solidifying a role on that offense, it was Edwards-Helaire is the guy.
Absolutely.
And I'll say this much. I think they finally now, because the Chiefs, again, ever since Kareem Hunt left, they have not
Right, they've
had.
been looking for that guy.
I
don't think he's the guy.
I think it's going to be a similar situation to what you have in Green Bay, where Edwards-Helaire is the guy, but you know how A.J. Dillon sits behind there and he's always involved? That's the setup that you're going to have. And I think Andy Reid would almost like that better because you're able, those guys are so similar but so different. You can spin on it and you can play, you can do a million things off of that. They can both catch the ball. They can both run hard. They're both fast. And if you utilize both of them properly.
Pacheco, when you watch him run, people bounce off of him.
Yes.
And,
yes.
And that's what Andy Reid wants.
Right.
Kareem Hunt's like that. People bounce off of him.
You're going to have a killer 1-2 punch going forward there in Kansas City.
I think eventually he will take that spot.
Yeah,
I really do.
With 2 attempts for 6 yards.
I'm sorry?
With 2 attempts for 6 yards.
Edwards-Helaire was much.
Listen, asshole. If you seen him last week, they didn't really need him yesterday. But if you seen him last week, he was a beast.
I think
That kid was a beast last week.
as the season progresses, you're going to see
In
the
preseason,
utilization.
why do you think fucking Ronald Jones ain't even getting a touch?
Ronald Jones isn't even active.
He's on the fourth
He's not even
string.
fucking active right now because realistically, they don't need him. I mean, they spread the ball around. They still have McKinnon as well, who got 4 rushes last night. But I think McKinnon's the odd man out there. I think those 2 guys will be your 1-2 punch, much like Aaron Jones and A.J. Dillon are. And it'll be like a 1A, 1B thing. But Edwards-Helaire at the time being he's averaging 9.3 yards per carry last night. He had 5 receptions for 51 yards last night. His utilization is way up even from last year's standards. But that was just the first game of week 2. We have a ton of matchups all over the board this week that some of them really made me scratch my head. Some of them, some of them you just got to go with your gut on. I thought this week's schedule blew week 1 out of the water, shockingly. And I loved the way they did week 1, but it was a little too drama-filled, too much flair for me. This week really, really left me scratching my head, especially this first game that we're going to talk about. The New York Jets go to the dog pound to play the Cleveland Browns. The Browns are a 6.5-point favorite with an over-under of 39.5. And I'll be honest with you.
I'll take the Jets and the points.
Really?
I'm taking the Browns.
I'm going to take the Jets and the points.
That Browns D is going to tear them up.
Well,
you know what? They had something to play for last week. Baker come in there and they wanted to fucking...
Yeah, but why stop now?
They wanted to make a statement. We'll see if Brissett's good enough to move the ball on that Jet defense. Lamar Jackson had a hard time moving that team on that defense.
yeah.
I think if he has a hard time, you know Cleveland's going to have a hard time with Brissett trying to move ball on them.
This was my takeaway from this game. I'll be honest with you. I'm not going to sit here and try and predict this one. I'm not going to sit here and make a call either way. If you want to bet with Uncle Sam, you'll take the Jets plus 6.5. If you want to bet with Bruce, you'll take Cleveland giving up a touchdown. I don't think, if I had to make one prediction, I don't think that the Browns are 6.5 points better than the Jets.
No.
I will say that much. The Jets defense is young. Okay? The Jets defense needs some more on-field time to really coexist well. And the only thing that worries me about this game is that you have Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt, and that duo is much, much better than what they faced running back-wise last week against Baltimore. I think Chubb and Hunt could have a fantastic day, but I don't really believe in either of these defenses week 2, okay? We get 4 or 5 weeks into the season, I think we're going to be having a much different conversation about the Jets defense. But I don't really believe in either of them that much right now. That's number 1. Number 2, Joe Flacco looked really good last week. And Jacoby Brissett really didn't look that good. But at the end of the day, if one thing is for sure, Jets had a lot of fumbles last week. Brissett didn't look good. There will be mistakes made in this game. And when you have a game that you know there's going to be mistakes in, you tend to lay off. That over under a 39, wouldn't be shocked to see there be 21 total points in this game. Wouldn't be shocked if I ended up seeing 42. I don't know. I genuinely don't know. We don't know enough about either team. But what we do know for sure is that Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt, when they both get going together, there's going to be 200 yards of rushing for the Browns, and that's going to be hard for any defense to stop.
You think you could see Breece Hall actually stepping up?
No, I don't think it's his time yet. I really don't. I think, Robert Saleh said last week that Michael Carter was going to be the guy in that backfield going forward. And I think, at least for the next couple of weeks until Breece shows us something, that's the way that you should go. The next game. The Washington Commanders coming into Ford Field to play the Detroit Lions. Go ahead.
Well, hold on.
Toot your dick here.
No, I'm just...
This is the first time the Lions have been favored in a game in 30 years.
Which I don't understand why they're favored.
Agree.
I don't get it.
They're at
Why?
home.
He's right.
Why?
Because they're at home, and last week, if you watched Red Zone, Ford Field was the loudest fucking stadium out of everybody.
Out of all the stadiums
by
that
far.
were on there.
The Lions for sure do have a home field
What,
advantage.
they're doing this to bring more people in? I mean, come on, dude.
No,
I mean,
they're
the
not doing
Commanders,
to bring
what
more
they
people.
showed week 1, they're going to tear the Lions a new ass.
Let's stop right there. Eagles are better than the Jaguars, correct?
Yes.
Okay. The Lions gave the Eagles a better defense than the Jaguars every fucking thing they had there down the stretch. The Lions put up almost 40 fucking points last week, okay? At the end of the day, I agree that Detroit should probably be favored in this game.
Wow.
But
That's why they are favored.
I don't want to.
right.
It's
The Lions showed everybody that they're kind of legit last week.
and that
They have hope.
that crowd
not
noise
legit.
gave Baltimore or
Philly,
Philly
everything.
fits last week.
Agree.
Hurts was,
It was hard to call that offense in Ford Field. They made it an inhospitable environment.
Yeah.
Shout out to Lions fans. You guys did something
it
right
was
for once.
Loud as shit.
Okay.
Not as loud as it was in 2014, though, I will say. But it was still loud.
Anyways, this is what worries me. And this is why I'm going to take Washington plus 1.5. I'm also going to take the over, but the Commanders and Carson Wentz looked really good last week, okay? Now, they have a lot of weapons. Jahan Dotson looked good. Curtis Samuel looked good. Terry McLaurin looked okay, hasn't really woken up yet. Antonio Gibson looked fucking otherworldly. So, what we saw from the Lions defense in week 1 was a run stop that gave up over 200 yards between the quarterback and the RB1. And they had absolutely, positively no answer for A.J. Brown. Those things worry me. And if Carson Wentz, again, we've seen 2 Carson Wentzes over his career. The MVP that came out last week and played, and absolute dog shit. No in between. If Carson Wentz plays like he did in week 1, and the Lions defense plays like they did in week 1, you're going to have the Lions lose this game by at least a touchdown, if not more. Because Washington looked very consistent. They knew what they were doing. They had their game plan down. Detroit's defense is going to be an issue. Now,
Concerned about Gibson.
I don't think that the Lions are going to lay down offensively and not score any points. That's why I'm going to a 48.5 point over, and I'm taking the over. I think this is going to be another one of those 35-28 games, 35-21 games. I think you're going to have a lot of points.
Every game
not a
you
lot
see
of
them in
defense.
is going to be that way unless Goff gets hurt.
Right. It's going to
They're
be
going to be in a
shootout.
shootout just
Yep.
about every week because the defense is that shitty.
Correct.
Period.
Until they play a good defense, which I don't think the Commanders are a good defense. Jacksonville was able to put up 20
I
plus
think
points
the
on them
Commanders
last
have a good defense.
Do we have
They're-
any
they're
word
decent.
if DeAndre Swift?
Swift
on
will
his
be
ankle?
playing. He said that his ankle injury was a non-concern. But yes, I'm going to take Washington plus 1.5. I think ultimately they will win the game. And I think it's going to be a good game, but I just think Detroit needs more on defense that they don't have.
Yeah.
You cannot rely your entire defense around 1 6th-round rookie, and that's what they're doing right now because nobody else is making any plays.
Right.
I mean, you want to say Tracy Walker had a good game last week?
You signed Michael Blockers, okay, and he's been pretty disappointing, to be honest with you.
I would agree with that. And they're not getting much out of their other young guys. I mean, Aleem McNeil was very quiet in week 1. You got to give a little more.
Ezeworke is still hurt.
Uh-huh.
He's on IR. I don't know.
They don't have anybody in that secondary that
Still
can
got
cover these.
Aguara's on IR. He's on IR. I mean, what are you going to do?
Right.
Julian Aguara is still hurt.
They
Got
don't.
3 guys. The defense is decimated.
Why they need to go out and get somebody to help out the
They
secondary.
should.
It's just not.
Should. I don't know why. They
you're
have the
not-
money to do it.
You're not stopping anybody.
Dominic Zoo's out there. I don't think he signed with anybody.
Oh, could you imagine that?
This
Sign
pla-
him, dude.
That place would blow up.
Sign him.
That
Sign
place
him. Well,
would
how worse could he be
actually-
than McNeil? You see, he's 10 times better than McNeil, even 10 years in.
Yeah. I don't know. The Lions definitely have a
that
lot of
one?
issues on defense.
I forgot his name.
Moving into the NFC South. Tom Brady and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers going into what seems to be their in-division rival's house, the Superdome, and the New Orleans Saints and Jameis Winston. Tampa Bay, shockingly, is only a 2.5 point favorite.
It'll be a close game. Tampa will win. I don't know if they'll cover, but they will win. You know, it all depends on if Godwin is going to play,
Well-
which I don't think he is.
Here's the injury report right now.
Okay.
Godwin is unlikely to play.
Okay.
Evans is likely to play on a snap count, as is Julio Jones.
Yeah, I seen that. He was.
They're all banged up.
I don't know how he got banged up, but
Old.
I think the bigger thing they need to look is the offensive line. Are these guys going to come in a little healthier than they did last week? Because they looked awful last week.
I agree
I
with
mean,
that.
they held up pretty good in the beginning, but we'll see what happens.
Here's the thing, and I think this is going to be the difference maker in this game. The Bucs defense, it looked proper last week. Their secondary looks proper. Their front seven looks strong. And ultimately, if we know one thing about Jameis Winston, it's that he's against a good secondary, things could get real messy real fast.
Yeah.
Ultimately,
especially going back to Tampa.
Correct.
And it could get ugly early, especially if he throws 5 interceptions.
And ultimately, I think it will. I think Jameis will look like Jameis. I think they're going to have to run the shit out of the ball. Kamara's going to get a ton of handoffs, a ton of yardage. But again, he's going up against a very strong front seven for Tampa. I'm taking Tampa Bay -2.5, and I'm also taking the under. 44.5 points was just too much for me. We saw, Tampa was nothing but a field goal kicking unit last week against Dallas, and I don't think New Orleans is going to play that.
That's because Dallas' defense did make plays.
They did.
When they had to just hold them to field goals, because that game should have been over before the half.
I agree, and I'll say this much. If there's one thing
Should
that
have been three touchdowns, not 3 field goals.
If there's one thing we know about New Orleans, it's that their defense can make plays when they want to. You still got Cameron Jordan. You still got Demario Davis. Like, there are playmakers on that defense. So it's not like, especially missing out on, having your top 3 wide receivers banged up. Tampa's not going to score at will. It's going to be a tough game for them. I still think they will win by more than a field goal, but I don't think there's going to be that many points. I'm taking Tampa -2.5 and the under. In a game that, when the schedule came out, you looked at and you were like, oh, wow, this is going to be absolutely atrocious. I think there's a pretty easy winner here now. The Panthers are going to the Big Apple to play the New York Football Giants at MetLife Stadium. The Giants are a 2-point favorite with the over-under of 43.5.
Okay. I get it. I understand why they're a favorite.
Wholeheartedly.
They pulled off a big win last week. Mm-hmm. Huge win. And
surprised us all.
Their defense, if they play it like they did last week, I could see them upsetting Carolina easily.
Well, the Panthers are kind of a fucking mess, right? They were playing a Browns team last week that everybody thought they were going to walk in there and sweep the floor with, and that was Baker's big coming out party, and Baker looked uninspiring at best, okay? He that was his one chance, you know what I mean? That was the spotlight's on you. Come in here, make a fucking statement, and he really couldn't get it done. And he had a fantastic game out of his wide receivers. Robbie Anderson had a great game.
Yeah.
And they still just didn't have enough to get it done. And I think that some of their losses on the defensive side of the ball in the offseason really fucking hurt them. You were the first one to say that.
I said that. They lost Hassan Riddick. He was one of the catalysts on that defense last year. If you remember, they went 7-0 last year to start the season.
Yeah, and
it was because of the defense.
They've lost a lot. And I'll say this also. The one thing the Giants did really, really well last week
was play defense. Play against the run.
Well, even outside of playing defense, Daniel Jones finally, for the first time, utilized all of his little toys. He utilized all of his weapons pretty well, I would say. He got guys involved that you've been waiting to see get involved for a long time. I mean, Sterling Shepard. When's the last time we heard Sterling Shepard?
Yeah.
He had 71 yards and a touchdown. Richie James Jr., 5 receptions, 59 yards. Kenny Golladay, again, coming off of an injury, first game back in what seems like a decade, he got involved in the offense. Ultimately, if Saquon Barkley runs for 165 yards again, you will win the game.
Yeah.
Saquon Barkley, comeback player of the year, had just an absolute beautiful game last week, and I don't see that changing this week against the Panthers. I don't think they're really going to be able to do much against him.
I mean, unless he gets knocked the wrong way and goes down, he's just going to keep doing what he does best.
I'll say this, because obviously the injuries are a worry with Saquon Barkley, as we know.
Yeah.
For some reason, and this is hard to say because when you look at him, you see an absolute mammoth of a human being, but he looks stronger than he has in a long time.
He was coming off that knee injury too last year. That knee was not fully healed either. So, that surgery he had usually takes a year to come back from. So,
and I'll say this much. I am taking the Giants -2. I think they will win this game. I think they'll win this game pretty handily. But that over-under of 43.5, I am laying off hard because I wouldn't be shocked to see the Giants put up 21, but I don't know if that Carolina offense is capable of
outside Robbie Anderson hitting a deep ball.
Yeah, or Christian McCaffrey breaking one. Yeah. I don't really know what that offense is capable of. And 43.5 points.
And he didn't look totally healthy to me either.
McCaffrey, no.
He didn't look like himself.
I agree with that.
That's for sure.
So I'm going to take the Giants -2, though. I think they'll win this game in a pretty easy fashion. Next up, one of the games I'm most excited to watch this week, the New England Patriots go into Pittsburgh to play Mike Tomlin and the Steelers. Here's the brass tacks of it all. Miami didn't have any answers for, New England didn't have any answers for Miami last week. They didn't. They didn't play good defense. They couldn't cover wide receivers. They didn't play good offense.
Well, in their defense, they also had two of the fastest receivers in the league.
Well,
they ain't going to face that this week.
They're not going to face that this week. But what they are going to face is what I think could be the team that creeps up on everybody more so than everybody else, and that's the Pittsburgh Steelers. First and foremost, the Steelers' defense looked very, very good last week, and I know they're going to be without their catalyst for it all in T.J. Watt, which
he's on IR.
Was the best thing that could have happened for Mac Jones.
Yes.
Mac Jones would be able to
Mac
sleep
Jones
this
would have
week.
been sacked 3 times already.
Correct.
And the game hasn't started.
Here's the thing. New England, to me, it just doesn't look like it's going to come together yet. I mean,
we don't know. I mean, they came out flat last week, and I'm sure they will not come out flat this week.
I don't
think that's going to happen. And then we'll be able to gauge Pittsburgh and see if that Cincinnati game, which I still believe Cincinnati should have won that game.
Yeah,
but,
I agree.
I mean, we're going to see where they're at for real.
This is what I'll say. I'm going to take Pittsburgh +2. And the reason being is we live in Detroit, Michigan, correct?
Sadly.
Okay. And we have seen what a team with the play calling by Matt Patricia that lacks competent weapons on offense looks like. And guess what? You can't fucking bet on it. Because last week, what the New England Patriots did was look like the fucking Detroit Lions of yore. And I'm sorry, but I can't bet on that, especially against a team that looked as inspired last week as the Steelers. I'm laying off the over-under because neither of these two teams showed that they could put up a ton of points.
I still can't see how this guy still gets jobs.
I can't either.
I think he's awful.
No.
He's not a good fucking coach. And whoever says he is out of his mind. He was trash when he was here. I didn't think, I always heard that word genius thrown around because he's a fucking rocket scientist. He's awful.
Wasn't he not even responsible?
He's disrespectful and he's an asshole.
Wasn't he not responsible for that play call in the Super Bowl to get the interception on the one? I
haven't read anything about that, and I don't know either
Anyway.
way, but I'm taking Pittsburgh +2. Do you agree or disagree with me there?
I am actually I think Pittsburgh is going to win.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't be surprised if New England pulls it out at the end. I wouldn't be surprised.
I went with my gut on every single one of these picks, right? Like the Lions,
Bill
Commanders.
Belichick, when he loses a game, they come back, they win the next game. They don't lose multiple games back to back.
I know. And I trust me, there's nobody who knows that better than me.
Correct. You know that.
You know
that. And you could have H&R puffing stuff out there, and he'll make them look good. Mac Jones will look good this week. He will not look like he did last week.
I think the clock's run out.
Okay.
I really do.
All right.
The Indianapolis Colts, led by Matt Ryan, are going into Florida to play the Jacksonville Jaguars. Indy is a 3.5-point favorite with an over-under of 45. And I got news for you. This game is going to be the dumpster fire of the week. Mainly because Indianapolis was a dumpster fire last week.
Listen, you can't. And listen, he put up almost 350 yards last week.
I know. And tied with the worst team in football.
I know. I think it's going to be a shootout. I really do. Get ready to put some points up. I think it's going to be over the, what is it, 45?
You do, eh?
Take over on that game.
I got news
Take
for
the
you.
over on that. Michael Pittman's going to have 200 yards by himself.
I dug deep on this one.
All right.
I dug deep on this one. I think that you're right. I think it is going to be a shootout. I think that the Jaguars are going to win this game. I really do. And I don't know why, but I'm going with my gut that this will be the week. Because you know something? If we go way back when the Colts signed Matt Ryan, and I talked about how much I fucking hated it and how much I didn't think it was going to work and how the Colts are too quick on people and everything else. And I sat there and listed all the reasons why I didn't think this was going to work. And for some reason, I kept looking at the Colts roster, looking at it, listening to everybody talk. And I was like, you know what? They might be okay. And I jumped the gun on that.
Listen, we're jumping the gun here. It's week 1. You'll be able to tell after this
No.
week.
I shouldn't have went against my gut. I should not have went against my gut. The Colts are not going to be that good of a football team. Yes, you have Jonathan Taylor. Yes, you have Michael Pittman. Yes, you have Darius Leonard. And you have had all of those guys last year, and you still looked like shit. There's something deeper than what's going on the field there. And I don't know what it is, but I think that the Colts are going to get exposed again this week. They're going to lose to what everybody thought was the second worst team in football in the Jaguars, and something is going to have to change. I'm taking the Jags plus 3.5, and I am taking the over of 45 points because you already know there ain't going to be shit's worth of defense played in this game. So I'm going. That's what I'm going with. And if Matt Ryan plays like he did last week, they will go over 45 points. And I think that the Jaguars' offense can keep track with them. I don't think either of them are going to have a way to stop either of them. It's going to be a shit show. It's going to be a dumpster fire.
Yeah.
That game is going to be a complete shit show. I'm excited to watch it, but it's going to be a shit show.
Yeah.
The Miami Dolphins are swimming their way up the coast to Baltimore to play the Ravens.
This will give you a better gauge of where Miami's at.
Agree 1,000%.
It'll give you a better.
Baltimore's a 3.5 point favorite with an over under of 44.5. And I think this game right here is the best game on the schedule this week.
That's game of the week.
Yeah, this is the game of the week right here.
This will tell you exactly where both teams are at.
Mm-hmm.
I think not only is it going to tell you where Miami stands, it's going to tell you where Baltimore stands and how back is Lamar Jackson from that injury.
Well, this is a couple of things that I think this game's going to answer. I agree with you. How back is Lamar Jackson? How good is the Miami offense? Also, how good is the Baltimore defense? Because I've got news for you. I've said this for the last 2 months. Miami's offense has all of the potential to be one of the most potent offenses in football. Baltimore, it's going to take every bit of Baltimore's defense. And they have very talented DBs.
Oh, yeah.
And guess what?
I think you're going to see a difference between last week and this week. I really do.
That defensive line of Calais Campbell and company racked up an obscene,
each of those guys had stupid stats
obscene amount of tackles last week.
Yeah.
So the Ravens are these two teams are going to give each other everything they got, right? You know,
here's the thing: Miami struggled running the football last week.
They did,
and I think that's going to happen again this week.
I agree with you. That will continue
and that's why I kind of like the Ravens in this game.
Well, I'm also going to say, I think the Ravens struggled running the football last week,
correct?
Because they don't have a starting running back right now.
No.
Edwards and Dobbins are both still hurt.
No, I don't know.
So you're just going to have an
Kenyon
air
Drake.
raid.
Who is it?
Kenyon Drake's the guy.
Good
right
luck,
now.
Kenyon Drake.
You're going to have an absolute air raid in Baltimore.
It's got to be. The only one who's going to be running the ball this week is Jackson.
It's Lamar Jackson.
I mean, that's it.
I agree with Uncle Sam. I think Lamar...
They'll give Drake some carries just to keep him honest.
I think that Lamar Jackson is going to come out of this week as an absolute fucking highlight reel. I think he's going to just
I hope so.
transcend this
For
week.
my fantasy stuff, I hope so.
And as much as I love the Miami Dolphins, I'm going to take Baltimore -3.5, and I'm also going to take the over of 44.5. I think, again, it's going to be an air raid. It's going to be a highlight reel game. It's going to be all offense, and I'm very excited to watch that one.
Oh, that's dank. Can't even watch it.
Why?
Because I'll be at the game. I'll be at the Lions game.
Oh, God. Well, you could pull up Red Zone on your phone.
Yeah, but the service in there sucks.
Yeah.
They say they get new Wi-Fi every year, but yeah, that's a fucking joke.
The defending Super Bowl champions, who the Buffalo Bills used as a dish rag last week, are at home to take on the Falcons as a 10-point favorite with an over-under.
I'll take Atlanta in the 10.
I agree.
All day long. Do I think they're going to win outright?
No.
But I'll take Atlanta in the 10. Absolutely.
I agree.
That's
A
probably the
straight
bet of
10?
the week.
A straight 10, I think we could see a push.
I do think that the Rams will come out better than they did last week.
Agree.
But they better be ready because Atlanta's hungry.
Atlanta's sneaky.
They're hungry.
Atlanta's
They're
a
hungry.
sneaky. You know what? You know what's funny about this? Literally, I love the fact that you said that. In my notes here, I have Atlanta looked like one of the hungriest teams in the NFL last week, and it knows that they are underrated. And
Right.
I agree with that. Atlanta knows nobody has any faith in them. Atlanta knows that everybody thought, oh, this is a shit show rebuild for them. And they're not taking it that way.
No.
They are hungry. They want to win. I think that team actually has faith in Marcus Mariota. They're
He fits
not
their system. He
Yeah.
fits their system perfect.
they're not very
Better than Matt Ryan did.
Agree. And they're not very sexy. But guess what? They're sneaky.
They're playmakers. They got playmakers on defense, and they got some offensive guys that are playmakers too. Drake London, I did not realize. I did not
How
think
big
he's
he
going to be
was.
as good as he is right now.
Yeah,
He's for his first game, he was real good.
I mean, you still have Kyle Pitts. You still have Cordero Patterson.
Yeah, Pitts. They didn't even go to him. Well, when they start looking at him,
It's gonna
that'll
open it
really
up a
open
lot.
things up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Also, I don't think the Rams haven't really realized yet that this is a new season with a new team, and
They
actually have to-
They got them issues on that offensive line, and the Falcons will come after him. They're not afraid to come after him. So Stafford, we got to see which Stafford are we going to see?
I have 3 notes down here for the Rams. One, they need to find a new way to get defensive pressure outside of Von Miller and Aaron Donald. That's it in a nutshell. Donald is
Von
great.
Miller's not there anymore, but
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Now that Von Miller is gone,
They
Right.
have a replacement.
somebody else has to step up because Leonard Floyd was way too quiet against the Bills.
Yep.
One of these other guys has got to step up.
when you got Bobby Wagner making 15 tackles a game, that's gonna help.
That's not sustainable. Their
Yeah.
defensive front seven is not sustainable at the moment. Their offensive line,
and how many times is Jalen Ramsey going to get burnt this week?
that's the third
a
thing I
shit
have.
show.
Their secondary got burned like a piece of fucking
He's
toast
over
last
fucking
week.
rated.
And I got news for you. The Falcons can sneakily
Yep.
really burn this team if they want to.
Imagine if they go 0-2.
Oh, I don't
Imagine if
think
they
they'll
go
go
0-2.
0-2. I don't think
Everybody
Atlanta's,
here in Detroit should be fucking happy as shit. They go 0-2.
I don't think
Imagine if they don't make the fucking playoffs.
Oof.
You're looking nice.
Hey, if they don't make the playoffs, I'm signing
Yep.
a petition to bring Stafford back here.
I don't even know what you're saying right now. I'm not even going to
You
fucking
can
acknowledge
you
it.
can punch me in the face.
I'm not even going to acknowledge it. I'm going to fire this OJ Simpson
acknowledge
helmet at you.
it. I don't.
All right,
give
let's go.
a flying.
So in this game, I'm laying off the over under because
Oh, I'm taking Atlanta.
are you taking the over or under? Or I'm laying off over under. I don't like 46.5 for me.
No,
is a little too much.
I'm gonna push on that.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna say it's gonna be either or.
I'm taking Atlanta
but I
plus
am
10.
I am taking the points.
Yeah, I'm taking
the
Atlanta
Rams.
plus 10 because I think this could be a touchdown game. I think it could be a 10-point game. And
I don't
you'll
give a shit
break.
if it is a touchdown game. I'm still winning.
Hold on, Bruce has a different take. Go ahead.
Taking the Rams.
Do you think the Rams are going to win by more than 10? I know you don't understand how lines.
No, I understand the lines. I don't know more than 10.
Well, they have to win by 11 in order for you to win money.
Well, I'm not going from the standpoint of betting.
So you
they'll
think the
probably
Rams
win
are
by
going
a
to win
touchdown.
outright? You think the Rams will win outright?
Is that what it's called when you're.
Correct. But if we're talking about
To be honest with you, I think they're going to win outright too.
yes,
They're not going to cover the point spread.
correct. They have to
what
win
I'm
by
trying to
10
say.
to cover.
Okay, that's
Okay?
what I'm saying.
Correct.
Okay.
So in that case, if
Taking
you think,
Atlanta in the points.
we're teaching right now. If you think Atlanta's only going to lose by a touchdown, then ultimately you think you are taking Atlanta plus 10. I know you don't understand this. Don't spin your wheels too much.
not-
No,
I
I mean,
not to
no, that
win,
was
but to
no.
cover.
Okay, I understand
Correct.
that.
Right.
All right.
Because essentially what you have to look at this is, here's a little info for everybody who needs their first for betting for idiots.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Atlanta
Betting for
plus
idiots.
10 is essentially like starting the game Atlanta 10, LA 0.
Correct.
So if LA only wins by a touchdown, technically Atlanta is still up by 3, which means according to the book,
Right.
they won.
covered.
Correct.
They covered.
Correct. Moving on.
Meaning the Rams had to beat them by 11 for the Rams to win outright.
In the betting purposes.
Correct.
Correct.
Okay.
Staying in the NFC West, we have
you know.
the scumbag-led Seattle Seahawks going in to San Francisco to play the 49ers.
Now I'm going to say this. Trey Lance is basically Dak Prescott in a different uniform. And I think I'm – and who's favored in this?
San Francisco is an 8.5 point favorite.
I'll take
with
Seattle in the
over
points
of
all day
41.
long. I don't think they'll cover. I think San Francisco will win the game, but I'll take Seattle in the points.
Well,
He's trying to
I
figure
think
it
I'm
out.
trying to
I
figure out
think
in the
San
terms of
Francisco's
what you
gonna
guys
win a
are
tight
saying
game.
right now. I'm trying to get smart.
Okay.
I don't see them dropping 2 in a row.
I'm going to agree with you at a certain point and disagree with you at a certain point.
Okay.
You want to talk about a hungry team? I think Seattle is flipping the bird to everybody for thinking that they suck, and Geno Smith especially.
Well, listen, they played the Chicago Bears. Okay.
No, 49ers.
No.
played-
49ers played the Chicago Bears.
Okay.
Okay. They lost in a shitty fucking weather
Don't even
Monsoon.
blaze.
It was
in a
monsoon.
monsoon, and they lost. They should have won that game. They were kicking field goals instead of scoring touchdowns. And I'm not a Trey Lance guy. Don't like him, but I think they'll put it together this week, especially if it's not a monsoon.
Well, again, they came off of a heartbreaking loss last week.
Correct.
I would say
I
that
think
was
they're going to come
the
back
definition.
really hard this week.
But I'll say this much:
I don't think so.
if
And
Seattle,
it's a divisional game.
it's
so.
a divisional game, and if Seattle showed us anything last week against their arch nemesis Russell Wilson, it's that they want to prove the entire fucking world wrong.
Yeah.
So you have two teams who have a lot to fight for in this game.
And I'm going to be honest with you, I didn't think that Seattle beat Denver. I think Denver beat themselves.
Denver. I agree.
And I don't think they're gonna get that lucky throughout this year.
I'll say this much: Seattle's defense looks much better than I expected them to
Yes,
look last
but
week.
they're not. They're not where they were years ago.
What makes a great quarterback great?
What makes a great quarterback great? He elevates everybody else around him.
Okay, give me one more because that wasn't the one I was looking for, but that's a great one.
Oh, okay, but that's the only one there is.
He is able to perform under pressure.
Well, that too.
I was thinking more in the lines of like spreading the ball out, but
I just don't think, which Geno Smith are we going to get? You going to get the Geno Smith from last week? Or are you going to get the Geno Smith who was in New York?
Can I be honest with you? I don't think
Yeah.
Geno Smith matters in this game. I think
Okay.
the two things, the thing that you said and the thing that I said, one, does Trey Lance really elevate everybody around him?
Trey Lance is Dak Prescott.
That answer to that question is no. And two, if Trey Lance was great under pressure, would Kyle Shanahan and the entire front office in San Francisco dicked around with the Jimmy Garoppolo situation like
No.
they did? The answer to that is also no. So I think Trey Lance is really going to feel the pressure, and I think
Garoppolo is still there because they already know. They know. I don't
Trey
give
Lance-
a fuck. They could say, "Oh, we didn't have no buyers." I don't buy that.
Trey Lance
don't
is
buy it.
going to crack. And it's going to be this week, and Seattle, as an 8.5 point underdog, will go in there in San Francisco, win that game. Geno Smith will be crowned an absolute king. Jimmy Garoppolo will be in question for week 3 to start for San Francisco.
Just for shits and giggles here, I don't mean to interrupt you, but J.K. Dobbins full practice today, baby.
Wow.
So
Big-
guess what?
big
Here it
news.
comes.
Big
Here
news.
it comes, baby.
Big news. Here we go.
The thing with Seattle is, if anything, Geno Smith earned the respect of every single person on that team.
They're going to fight.
They are going to fight.
They're going to fight.
We'll
They
see.
are going to
We'll
fight.
They're going to
what
fight.
happens.
So I'm taking
happens.
Seattle plus 8.5 and the under in this game because I don't think there's going to be that many points scored. And I think both of these defenses are going to knock the shit out of each other.
Correct. And listen, when they start getting to Geno Smith,
It's going to
I'm
fall
going to tell you
apart
right now,
quick.
San Francisco's defense is better than Denver's.
Absolutely, I agree. with
And when they start to get to this guy, let's see what happens.
Yep.
Because this is what happened to him in New York. And then he's getting in fights with teammates. He punched the guy in the face.
I don't think
Or he got punched in the face.
I don't think San
Somebody else.
Francisco is good enough offensively to outscore them by 8.5.
Right.
So I'm going to take Seattle plus 8.5 and the under. Here we go. Big game this week at AT&T Stadium. The Dallas Cowboys invited the Cincinnati Bengals to duel it out in Texas, and now they are without their fearless leader, Dak Prescott. Mike McCarthy and Cooper Rush are going to absolutely fucking shit the bed against Joe Burrow and the Bengals this weekend.
Well, wait a minute now. What's the point spread?
7.5, Cincinnati
I
favored.
will take Cincinnati given the 7.5.
I would take Cincinnati giving 17.5.
Well, listen, I still think Dallas's defense is still good. We've seen them last week.
No,
They're still good. It'll keep them in the game.
That was
I don't
No,
see
you're
them
not.
winning at all.
no, they're not.
But I think I don't even have them covering. But I don't think it will be the blowout everybody thinks it is.
Oh, I think
I
this
think
game
it'll be
is
a little
going-
bit closer.
This game is
You
going
still have Zeke. You still have a good defense. They'll be able to move the ball because, listen, even the fluke Steelers were able to. Mitch Trubisky was able to move the ball against them.
It ain't gonna
We gotta
fucking
see if
happen
they're going to
again.
come out flat.
It
again.
ain't gonna happen again.
we'll
It's
see.
not going to happen again. Go.
If the Bengals and Joe Burrow are what everybody says around the league, right? This fantastic team, right? Joe Burrow is a great quarterback. Then they definitely have something to prove to win this fucking game.
They have nothing to prove. They were in the fucking
They have
Super
nothing to
Bowl
prove.
last year.
I don't know.
They're the AFC
I don't
Defending
know.
AFC champion.
This is very simple to figure out.
know.
If
Listen, they should have won that game last week, and he threw.
Okay, so what happens when they
interceptions.
what happens when they lose to Dallas?
hold on. If Dak Prescott was playing in this game and Cincinnati was still in a 7.5-point favorite, would you take him?
Absolutely.
Same here.
Because it's Dak Prescott. Oh, it doesn't
It
fucking
doesn't
matter.
fucking matter.
Cooper Rush. Hey, with Cooper Rush, it's an unknown. It's an unknown.
If
And
I
I'll just tell you
anything
something,
could
Cooper
happen.
Rush has worked with these receivers more than Dak Prescott. And I'll bet you he does better than Prescott would.
here's my takeaways from this game. Joe Burrow's not going to fucking lose again.
No.
They're going to have it
not gonna
together
happen.
more
They're
now.
gonna
Ezekiel Elliott is
have
going to
something
have
to
an
show.
absolute fucking monster of a game because I don't think that Cincinnati's defense is that solidified yet. I think Zeke will have a great game. I'm expecting a blowout. Like I said, if the spread was 17.5 points, I would still take the Bengals to cover. At the end of the day,
no cover. What's the over?
7.5, and Cincinnati will win this game by at least 2 touchdowns.
Okay, what's the over?
41.5, and I don't.
No, I
see-
don't
That's
think
a
it'll
hot
go over
take.
that.
I don't think
because
Dallas.
38 of that will probably be Cincinnati.
That's the whole thing. If Cincinnati, if they're this game's gonna hit the over, Cincinnati's
what are
doing
you
it on
trying to
their
say
own.
that Dallas only going to have a field goal? That's exactly what I'm saying.
That is exactly what we are.
These
saying.
two teams are your guys' wheelhouse. So I hope you guys are wrong. I'm just saying.
Anyway,
Bruce, but
what's next?
anybody with any sort of
I
common
know.
sense.
I know.
What's
I know.
next?
I know.
I'm not even
I'm
gonna
just going off of faith here
solidify
because
that.
you guys rip Dallas constantly, and you guys love the Bengals. I'm just hoping
All right,
you guys
hold
are
on.
wrong.
Did you even watch the Dallas game last week?
No.
Then
But
shut the fuck up.
I'm
Then
just
shut the
saying
fuck
this
up.
has nothing to do with stats or
What?
anything else.
Nothing
I'm
to do
just saying I hope
Hey.
you're wrong.
Do you want to
Hope
know
I'm-
something?
I,
Hey,
You
Yes.
know what? I do too.
have you? I have a question. Have you wiped your ass today?
Wow.
If you go dig the toilet paper out of your fucking septic tank at your house, that piece of shitty toilet paper could call a game better than Mike fucking McCarthy. And that's
You're
why
not wrong
I
there.
don't like
You're
the
not
Dallas
wrong there.
Cowboys.
Fucking inaccurate was Dak Prescott.
I mean, it was fun. It was just
It
a
was
shit
a shit
show.
show.
Fucking horrible.
My God, I think the Lions would have beat the shit out of them.
Stir in the pot,
Oh.
baby.
Yeah.
Stir in the pot.
Yeah.
Moving on.
You stir shit. That's it.
Broncos country. Let's ride.
Hurry up.
Let's lose.
Back home to play the Houston Texans. Denver is a 10-point favorite with an over-under of 46 against Davis fucking Mills. The winless and lossless Houston Texans. So, Denver got fucking embarrassed last week. Point blank period.
Houston played well last week.
Houston played
But
okay.
I think Denver is going to come out ready to go. What's the point spread on that?
It is Denver 10-point favorite.
10-point favorite. I'm going to take Houston to cover. I think Denver will win, but I don't think they'll beat them by more than 10.
This game really fucked me up because Houston looked okay last week and the Broncos looked putrid. I'll say this. Jerry Jeudy looked stellar last week.
Absolutely.
Cortland Sutton played a great game. The run game couldn't get it going. That's a concern to me. The Texans held a pretty stout, on paper, Colts offense to a subpar performance.
Yeah, but they also Jonathan Taylor had a fucking monster game.
Jonathan Taylor had a monster game.
I will think Javonte
Williams
should have a big game.
You're answering all my questions for me right now.
Absolutely.
I think Javonte Williams has a big week. I think that Russell Wilson knows what last week was, and I
Exactly.
don't think he's going to let that happen again.
No, he won't. Even though the coach is a fucking shit show, he won't let that.
I agree. I don't think he's going to let that happen.
man.
I think that
Bad
Denver's
calls.
going to put an exclamation point on this one and show everybody their real selves now.
Right.
I think the Broncos will win this game by more than 10. I think the over-under of 46 is a really weird spot, so I'm going to lay off of
Push
this
it.
over-under.
I'll push that.
Just because I think it could be a 21-7 game, realistically, or something around those lines.
I don't think so. I think you might see like maybe like 20, 28,
28-14.
24, 20.
I don't
21.
think I don't think the Texans are
think
putting.
that
Or
they're going to
that's
get blown out.
close.
I don't.
That's
I think that the Broncos will win by more than 10. Obviously, you disagree, but I'm taking Denver minus 10.
I'm taking Houston to cover.
Houston plus 10.
Their defense is actually pretty good. I know they gave up a lot of yards last week, but they were pretty stout and they were playing hard.
Yeah. I just don't touch that over under. It
no,
makes me
that's
want to
not
throw
good
up.
for your Charger.
All right.
I don't care. Here we go. The Raiders.
Well,
The Las Vegas Raiders are hosting the Arizona Cardinals, where the Raiders are a 5.5-point favorite and a monster over-under of 51.5.
I take the Raiders given the points. I'm going to take the Raiders given the points.
Space phone.
So, Derek Carr played week 1 like he had a chip on his shoulder,
Yep.
and I agree with that. And he should, because I think Derek Carr is one of the most underrated quarterbacks in this league. I think this game will be an absolute battle. I think these two teams are going to beat the shit out of each other. Kyler Murray also has something to prove because last week he left a lot out on the table and realistically didn't play worth that massive contract. Unfortunately, the Cardinals have this good receiving core that didn't look organized or ready to go last week. And Vegas played the Chargers.
Right.
Again, we know what the Chargers are. They're a great team with a great defense. And they held up decently. They stayed in it. And that was their first week of Devontae Adams, Derek Carr. They have a lot of new pieces there to deal with.
Yep.
I'm going to take Las Vegas minus 5.5. I think they're going to win this game by more than a touchdown.
I don't think much. It all depends on who can make the field this week for the Cardinals.
Yeah, I mean,
to even talk about them
you have
being in this game.
Ertz out. You have J.J. Watt out. You have Hopkins is still suspended. They're banged up already week 1. They had absolutely zero run game last week.
You know,
real
I
fun
feel bad for
in-season Hard Knocks.
Kyler
Yeah,
Murray.
it is.
I feel bad for Kyler Murray because it's shitty. The injury thing has absolutely killed them, and the suspension on Hopkins. If I was him, I'd be so fucking pissed right now.
They're decimated right now already.
It's just bullshit.
And they didn't look very inspired last week. I'm going to take the Raiders minus 5.5. And honest to God, that 51.5.
I think the Raiders will come back strong this week
that 51.5 point over, I'm going to fucking take it.
Really?
I'm going to take it. I think it's going to be a
I'm going to
fucking
take the
scoring
under
frenzy.
on that.
You think it'll be a little bit more defense?
Yeah,
I mean,
I do.
The Chiefs and them put up, Jesus, God in heaven.
Yeah, but
it was over 60
they didn't
points
put up a
last
lot of yards on the Chiefs.
It was 44 to
Chiefs
21,
defense,
65
I'm going to be
points.
honest with you. The Chiefs' defense are not as good as the Raiders' defense. I think the Raiders'
Ooh,
defense
that's a
is
hot
better than the
take.
Chiefs. I do.
Well, we'll see. They play each other
I think their
twice, so
defense
that'll
is
be
better.
That's going to be a fun game too.
Because if you remember, the Charger game with the Raiders, they didn't play bad. Their turnovers killed them at the key spot.
Yes, they did.
You know, they didn't get blown out by the Chargers, but the turnovers just killed them. Carr had a fumble and a pick that
he did.
resulted in points.
Correct.
That killed them.
They were sloppy. That was week 1 slop from the Raiders. I don't
Correct.
think we're going to see that this week.
I don't think so either.
Sunday night football brings us an NFC North matchup of the Bears and the Packers at Lambeau Field. Green Bay is are you ready? Green Bay is a 10-point favorite over the Bears. With an over-under of 41.5. I'll say this. Green Bay didn't look good last week. Green Bay couldn't score points last week. They're not good enough to be a 10-point favorite. Like
I don't think so either.
honestly, I mean, I don't even know if 10 points will be scored in this
Here's
game.
the thing: you don't know what you're going to get. You're going to get the Aaron Rodgers from last week, or are you going to get the MVP?
I don't even know if it's as much
don't
as the
know.
Aaron Rodgers from last week as it is who the fuck does Aaron Rodgers have to throw the ball to. I mean,
Well,
yeah,
no,
Lazard,
I mean,
Lazard's
he's
back.
got guys.
Lazard should be back this week, which
Yeah,
will help.
and that'll help big time.
Agree.
It will,
I still don't think that this game's going to be a 10-point spread.
because he's probably the fastest guy on that offense. So.
It's way too many points. Green Bay's offense is not good enough to be a 10-point favorite.
No, not yet.
Green
Not
Bay
yet.
will win the game. It'll be a
Absolutely,
defensive battle. I wouldn't be shocked to see like a 14-10 game or a 21-17 game. Like
Yeah.
I don't
It's-
think you're far off.
it's going to be a defensive game. It's
Well,
going to
you're
be.
taking the under.
I'm taking
Yeah.
Chicago plus 10 in the under just because I don't think that Green Bay's winning this game by 10 points. Chicago did win last week. I get it. It was a monsoon. I get it. Trey Lance's fucking used panty liner, but Chicago did win.
But it is a division game.
It's a division game. It's at Lambeau.
It's going to be played hard.
It's
It'll
going to
be
be
played hard.
It's going to be a bloodbath.
Aaron Rodgers will redeem himself this week. I'm pretty.
He's got to.
I'm pretty
He's gotta look
confident in
better.
saying that he's going to come back strong this week.
I agree with that.
Yeah.
2 Monday Night Football games this week. The first of which is a 4:30 Eastern Time kickoff where the Tennessee Titans travel to Buffalo to not only eat some chicken wings but play the Bills. The Bills, I bet you'll never guess how much they're favorited by in
I
this
have no
game.
idea.
Shockingly enough, it's 10. And the
Okay.
over-under is 48.5.
Oh wow. You know what? I'm going to take the Bills and give them the points.
I am as
And
well.
I'm going to go over on that.
I'm going to take the under.
Okay.
But I'm going to take Buffalo minus 10. I think they're. Here's the thing. Bills are the best team in football. We saw it last week against the Rams, period, point blank. The Chiefs and the Chargers are both making a play for it, but I think the Bills are still the best team in football. They're going to stumble at some point this year.
We just don't. It's not going to be at home.
It ain't going to be at home, and it ain't going to be against Ryan Tannehill. Tannehill's on his way out. I hate to break it to everybody, but
Get ready.
he's going to be gone.
Malik Willis.
Malik Willis will step into the role. Derrick Henry, even Derrick Henry, I should say, will have a tough time running the ball for a
That
Derrick
defense-
Henry-like
defense
game
just
against the Bills
swarms.
defense.
That defense was their defensive line played really
Fucked
well.
up good.
And they added those 2 run stoppers up the gut.
Yep.
And I think they're going to really show something this week.
Titans are completely one-dimensional, and with Tannehill behind the helm,
Treylon Burks does something amazing.
yeah,
I don't see.
And at the end of the day, I don't
see
think
much there.
I don't think that's going to happen against Buffalo. Josh Allen, as we know, is as good as they come. He spreads the ball around well. He's everything.
Yeah.
The Bills' defense will stop Tannehill, will stop Derrick Henry, will stop the Titans, and they will win this game by more than 10 at home on Monday night.
Well, shit, if anything was proven last week is that Derrick Henry can be stopped.
I mean, Derrick Henry
It
did
was
not
one
play that
play.
well.
Let's
in
not
week one.
get out of control there.
And in the final game of the week, the late game on Monday, the Minnesota Vikings head into Philadelphia to play the Eagles. Philly is a 2-point favorite. We got a big over-under of 50.5. The Eagles showed something last week. 2 things, actually.
Well, this is actually a great game.
A.J. Brown's really good. And their defense still has a little bit of growing to do.
I think you're going to see a different Philly team this week. I really do.
I think that this is the most evenly matched game of the week.
Yeah.
This was very hard for me to pick.
Philly left a lot of plays on the field in Detroit.
They did. They left a
did.
lot of points on
It should have been a blowout,
Um,
and it wasn't.
right. Both teams can run the ball.
Yeah.
Both teams have very good receivers.
I can't wait to see Justin Jefferson. I truly think, and this is I don't think it's a hot take. I think he's the best receiver in football right now. I really do. I think he's the best receiver in football.
Justin Jefferson.
Yes.
Well, yeah, I agree with that wholeheartedly. At the moment, yes. I don't think A.J. Brown's very far behind him, though.
Oh, I don't either, but I think Justin Jefferson's to another level.
I agree.
I can't believe every time I watch this guy, there's nobody within 10 yards of him when he catches the ball. He runs such good routes, and Cousins is accurate enough to get him the ball.
Yep.
And in stride. And I think he's very dangerous. Very dangerous. Not to say that A.J. Brown isn't really good. He is. But you'll tell this week, they're going up against each other. They're 2 very stout defenses. And if Minnesota can play the way they did against Green Bay last week, it should be a great game.
Should be a great game.
What's the over/under?
50.5.
I'm gonna say under. I
Really?
don't think it'll do. I just don't think that Philly is going to give up 35 points this week. I really don't think so, and
But they
I
did
don't
last
think they're
week
going to
to the
put up
Lions.
38 this week.
You have to remember, 50 points is 25 or 26,
I
26.
get that.
ends it.
I totally understand, but I just think the defenses are going to be a little more honed in than they were week 1 on both sides.
So you're taking Philly -2 and the under.
Correct.
I'm taking the Vikings +2 and the over.
Okay.
And that is solely for the purpose of I think the Vikings are a little bit better than we thought. I said a couple weeks before the season started, I think they'll win this division. The Eagles are really good, but if the second half of last week's game against Detroit showed me anything, it's that their defense still has a little bit of growing up to do. Not to say if these 2 teams
They
play
went
each
on
other,
the road to a hostile environment,
agree,
which was off the chain.
agree,
And I don't think it was as close as people think. I really don't. It didn't look as close to me as
I think the Vikings are better than everybody thinks, though.
I think they are too. I'm not saying they're not good. I just think Philadelphia at home it's going to be that's a hostile environment too.
Logically, I agree with you, but for some reason, and I said I was going to go with my gut, I think the Vikings pull this one out. I think they'll win it by a field goal late, and that's why I'm going to take them +2. It's going to be that good of a game. This and Miami versus the Ravens are the 2 games of the week in my eyes.
The Miami Raven game, to me, that's the best game of the week.
Yeah. This is a close second, though. I really feel that way. Bruce, you got a fun fact of the day for us?
You want an animal or you want a history one?
History.
You want a history one? Give me a second here. I just had it.
You have one.
It's actually sports history. It's actually ancient Rome's Circus Maximus is still the largest capacity stadium ever built. Historians estimate that it held anywhere from 250,000 to 300,000 spectators.
Wow.
Well, it was standing room only, Bruce. There wasn't any seats, so guess what? Any stadium today could hold that if you took all the seats out.
I just read the facts from
I know.
the interweb.
The fact is
and
this.
Why do you have to
What's
argue
even
with
better?
a fact?
What's even better?
Like,
I'm gonna give you a little more facts about the Coliseum.
Okay.
Okay.
Well,
Did you know they used to do sea battles in it? They would take water, fill it up, and actually remake sea battles in the Coliseum.
Wow.
That I didn't know. That I found that out later.
Is the Circus?
But it's-
Is that the
it's very
real name
interesting.
for the Coliseum?
Bruce is interesting.
I don't
too.
think the Circus Maximus.
It's not the Coliseum.
Yeah.
Anyways, real
I know
quick
that,
here
so-
before we end today's show. Steelers running back Najee Harris is off the injury report and will play Sunday. George Kittle is practicing, and the coaching staff is saying he will play Sunday in the home opener.
Oh, wow.
2 bits of fantasy news right there before we end. Also, Rondale Moore and Andy Isabella are out Sunday for the Cardinals. And Shaq Leonard will not play for the Colts this weekend. There are just a few things, as well as quarterback Justin Herbert will be getting x-rays today on his ribs to see how fucked up he is after last night's game. If you haven't yet, follow us on our socials, Instagram and Twitter @TipBalls. I live tweet every game. You guys can bitch at me there. TikTok @TipBalls Podcast. Check out tipballs.com for blogs, merch, updates, all at Happy Horse shit. If you're listening to us on Spotify or Apple Music, subscribe to us on YouTube so you can see our ugly faces. And if you're watching us on YouTube, tickle your earbuds with our voices on Spotify and Apple Music. Thank you guys so much for listening. Get settled in for an incredible week, too. The weekend is going to be full of action. Make sure you're watching. You guys will hear from us on Tuesday.